Hi everyone, Tony Tonkin here from the Child Protection Party, and this is the first time that I've been able to talk to you for quite some time for a variety of reasons. I don't like to think that one of those reasons was laziness, but however, we've been pretty busy at the Child Protection Party trying to get things organised so that we have a group of people Australia-wide that can represent us appropriately. And I've got a number of things, though, that I wish to talk about today, and some of them are pretty damn serious. And I've been a little nervous, I must confess, in having this conversation with you because there are some things that concern all of us that I must discuss with you. So just bear with me, this is important stuff. Firstly, I've had a hell of a week, and it's about that week that I want to discuss with you because there are some things that have happened during the week which are about being confronted by the child protection system itself and other people involved with regard to the child protection system, which means and concerns us as well in terms of how we behave and how we interact with issues around child protection in particular. And so I just wanted to take this opportunity to talk to you all about the way we need to behave. The first thing I want to say is that my experience tells me that the most important thing we can do is always be respectful of other people. That is, yelling, screaming, shouting and abusing them is extremely unhelpful. And I've had a couple of instances this week where actually I've been accused of doing things that the department and another organisation thought were inappropriate. And I'll discuss kind of around those issues a little bit with you at the moment. But I do encourage every one of you to make sure that you're behaving in the most ethical way that you can. And that also includes the way you respond to our Facebook feeds and any other social media that we're involved in. And the reason why I'm asking you to think about being how you're behaving is that I have received a reprimand from the department concerning some of the things that the comments that are made by members of the Child Protection Party or just people that are joining in our Facebook conversations. And some of the things that they agree that I'm not the one necessarily making those negative comments, but they did criticise me for inviting people like yourself to have a conversation with us over our social media platform. And you know, this is something. Look, I just want to welcome Michael D and Deanna and Gina for coming on board. It's really great seeing you. And I know there's a whole host of other people that have joined up as well, but they haven't signed in to make a comment. But I just want to make the comment that we as a political party, and I'll be talking the difference between the political party and the foundation in just a moment, but we as a political party are about giving people a voice. So one of the things that I object to greatly is having people insist, particularly someone from the department, that we should modify the feedback that we're getting into the Child Protection Party in relation to issues that concern you. I object to that greatly. Their comment, I think, was based on the fact that they were distressed because they could identify who you're talking about. So there'd be people that would log on, their names would be the department would know who they were simply by their names and their login details, and then they would talk about their kids. And that in terms to the department says, you know, well, you're talking about your children online. And I guess my issue with that is that you're entitled to talk about what's happening to you. It is unhelpful, though, I must confess that if you actually tell us who your child is by name, that's a no-go zone. We're not allowed to do that. Legally, we're not allowed to do that, and I encourage people not to do that. Hi, Jemima, good to see you as well. So I do encourage you to talk about the issues that are of concern to you, the problems that you're having in terms of being heard and having a voice, and let us know what they are. Just be careful about the sorts of things that you might say that the department can become irritated about and and decide that somehow we've crossed the line. Now, I do want to add that we're not responsible for all messages that are placed on our Facebook page, because we can't monitor everything that's being said. We try to do the best, and if there's anybody saying or doing something that we think is inappropriate, we will take it down. However, we are a voice to all of you to be able to say the things that you need to say, and so that your voice can be heard and acknowledged. That is what the Child Protection Party is about. And I think I've come to realise during this week, because of the conflicts that I've had to encounter through the department and another organisation, that we are more important than ever to provide a voice. And something I think that the other interesting thing I need to say is that the department and other departments and other organisations watch our Facebook feed, and they watch us to see what it is that we're doing. And they watch us so they can watch you. So just remember that when you're putting stuff up, and if your kids are in care, that the department is eyeing you over to make sure that you're doing what they consider to be the right thing, and that you're not saying things that are detrimental to them. So one of the issues that concerns me the most is that that they think that they can bully me. And for those that are watching this that are from the Department of Child Protection or elsewhere, I want to let you know right here and now, and I'm quite clear about this, you cannot bully me. And one of the things that has struck me this week is, I was reflecting on this with my wife earlier today about how I'm experiencing as a professional worker what it must feel like for a client to be sitting in front of these people and have them tell you what it is that they want you to do, because they're the ones that are right. And in the situation that occurred to me, the situation was actually about a young boy that I've been advocating for, and that I met on one occasion, incidentally, and that I was being told that I should never meet up with this young person again. And, you know, I'm happy to do that. That's fine. But we, as a political party, we're here to advocate for all kids. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter whether you're in care or not. If you have an issue and you need to talk to us about that issue, or if someone else talks to us, a parent or somebody else talks about that issue, we're more than happy to hear what it is that you have to say, so that we can develop a policy perhaps that sits around all of that, so that we can represent your voice if we need to take those issues to another parliamentarian or to escalate them somehow. So we are here for you, and it's really important that you understand just that very fact. And so the issue in relation to me and this young kid was that that I was advocating firmly for him. Now, I want people to understand, this is where I need to talk about the differentiations between the Child Protection Party and what we've now established, which is the Riley Foundation. You can find out more about the Riley Foundation by going to the Riley.Foundation, and the Riley is spelled REILY.Foundation. And I'll just talk about that for a minute, because I think that's really important for people to understand, is that the Riley Foundation has been established so that we can separate the Child Protection Party from the advocacy type of work that we do. And it's really important to understand what that might be. So the foundation deals with negotiating with the social workers and the department in general, and we go to represent clients and kids so that they have the best possible voice that they can. And we're training staff to be able to do that, so that we can do it. We're the only people that do that sort of work, and so that's what the foundation does. The Child Protection Party actually works at the more political end. So we're about designing policy, getting decisions made in relation to appropriate ways to be working within a legislative framework. So that's what the Child Protection Party does. The other, but of course, because I'm involved in both, I tend to cross over into both of these areas, and this is something that is of major concern, because at the end of the day, it is about our interactions with the department so that we can build better relationships. So what happened was, in this instance, I had someone, one manager actually, and a supervisor sent me an email and said, look, can you come and talk to us about how we could build a better relationship with you? And of course I thought, great idea. One of the things that people don't understand about me is that I think I'm pretty accepting, that if you invite me to go and do something with you, then I will participate in that activity and I will come and have a chat with you, because I think it's probably a good thing that we do collaborate and try and understand each other and the way we work. And when I turned up to this meeting, I was quite open-minded. In fact, I didn't feel nervous about it at all. I thought, this is great. And then, but then we didn't really talk about what it is that we could do that could collaborate together. They said that I do some really good work with their staff, and I know that I do. With the majority of their staff, the work we do is fabulous, and we build bridges between the clients and the department. I support actually the social workers within the department. I support them in the work that we do, and that is. That's a fundamental aspect of the foundation, is that we work to build those bridges so that we can build and have better relationships with all of the people that that work within the department. Because we don't want to be fighting with anybody, believe me. We want to be working to help everybody to understand that we can work with a client in a much different sort of light and framework than what the department can. The department's seen as an enemy. We're often not. We're not, and not to the client, and we're representing the client and the kids, and we provide an opportunity for them to have a voice. This is something really positive that we're doing, and something that has great value, and that needs to be respected. But when you get dragged into a meeting and then bombarded with a whole series of things that you supposedly have done, including emails that I've sent off requesting changes from certain social workers within the department, then that really irritates me. And they bombarded me. They said that the emails were extremely confrontational. Well, they weren't. I read them. The emails are instructive. I am a social worker of over 25 years experience, and if I don't know what social work looks like now, then nobody does. And I have a certain version of what social work should be, and if they're not behaving in accord with the principles and values that I think are important, then that needs to be corrected. So I work to correct them about ways that certain social workers... Now, out of all the social workers that I work with, that percentage would be about 1%. Right, but what they do is they nitpick that one person that I had an issue with because I believe they were practicing in ways which devalued what the client was looking for. Because of that 1%, then they get extremely upset and irritated, and for some reason think it's happening to almost everyone, when they know it isn't, when they know that the majority of the people I work with, we have a really fantastic relationship. In fact, on Friday, I had to go to a case where a client was being removed out of a house because of DV, and she had a couple of kids. I've been working with a client for a while, and the client rings me extremely distressed because the social workers were there. And of course that normally for a lot of people means a really poor outcome. And so I went around there, and there's a fabulous social worker. There were 3 social workers there, in fact. But the one that I know, the senior one there, she's fabulous. Every occasion I've met her, she's always done the right thing by clients. She's extremely client-focused, fabulous woman. And I think it's, and I know that there are lots of other people like that as well, lots of really good social workers out there. I understand that on many occasions those social workers that are really good don't get to have a voice, primarily because they find themselves in the situation like I did during the week, where their voice is not heard, they're not understood about the things that are important for them as social workers, and they have to be compliant and agreeable with management, who often don't understand what social work is really about either. So our fight is to make sure that social workers get recognised, that we or you have a voice within this system, that you get heard, that people understand what it is that you want and how you want to have that service delivered to you, and that you want the best outcome that you can for you and your kids. And now, I keep saying this every time I make a presentation. I keep saying that the most important thing is that we help people to get on track. The foundation, the work the foundation does now is help people to get back on track so they can have their kids returned to them. We're not in the business of bashing the department and doing that sort of stuff. We are in the business of finding better ways for you and for others to work with you, and for the department to find better ways that they can also work with you, so that we can have better outcomes for kids. And in a nutshell, that's it. It's not all that complicated. That is what we do. And we are successful at it. Now, as someone else mentioned, the department, well, I don't care, or I don't know whether the department are afraid of us, or afraid of me, or what we're doing as a political party. I actually, at the end of the day, I just don't care. They can be as, they can have whatever view they like. It doesn't worry me. What does concern me is the work that we do with clients to ensure that we have the best possible outcomes we can for kids. Now, at the end of the day, what all of this means is that if, and I say this direct to the department, and I've sent an email off yesterday just stating this very fact as well, that if you want to work with us and you want really good outcomes for kids, then I suggest that you find better ways of first finding out who we are as an organisation. That is the Riley Foundation. Don't judge us just by a child protection party. Different stuff, doing different things, different organisation. But judge us by our outcomes. In fact, it really annoys me that the department knows that the outcomes we're producing have great benefits to their clients and to their workers. In fact, a lot of the time we can protect their workers from what can be often very hostile clients. And we can make sure that we're the buffer between hostility that sits with clients. I've been in sessions where clients have gone right off and to some extent probably had a reason to be angry, but didn't have a right to behave the way that they did. And I've made a stand against that, and I've gone out and I've talked to the client about ways to behave, because there are ways to behave. But my point is that if you choose to criticise me, this is what one other organisation did too, and if they're watching, I hope they are, because they need to understand that I am still angry about being told off for having a hostile email and get the head of that organisation to call me on the phone and be hostile back to me. I don't get that or understand even why that makes sense. If you want to get hostile with me because I've been hostile with you, I suggest you develop a different approach. Being hostile with someone because they've been hostile with you is not the way to solve the problem. Even though you think you have a legal background and somehow you're superior than everybody else, that is not the solution. The solution is to calm the situation down, to be somewhat agreeable, to talk about how you feel, not about raising your voice, yelling and screaming and shouting. That is not the way by which you develop good friendships. Now, the people that have confronted me this week, those people I will probably never sit in front of again. And I put this out to everybody. We will work with the department because we're working with families and their kids to have their kids returned. We are working with you. Because we are working with you, we will ensure that we will do the best thing that we can. We will behave appropriately. We will develop means to manage conflict appropriately. We will not scream and shout at you as has been done to me this week, or handing me a letter that is like a reprimand letter. The thing is, I work for myself and I work for my clients and I'm passionate about it. And if you don't like my degree of passion, and if you don't like the fact that I'm a social worker doing this sort of work, and if you think that what I'm doing, my behaviour conflicts with what you think is important, you sit down with me and you have a conversation with me about my behaviour. You don't drag me into a meeting or insist that I come to a meeting and then hand out a letter which ostensibly is a threat and a reprimand. There's a threat in here about legal action. So there's no wonder I'm angry. And I am. Because you treat me like crap, just like you treat clients. And that's what I was saying before. I understand how clients are feeling. because this is how you treat them. And I hope you're watching this. And I hope that when you look at what it is that you've done, the way you've approached this situation, both of these organisations, I hope you look at this and think, this person is there to help families and kids. That's it. No more complicated than that. We do it in a respectful manner, right? Some of my emails are abrupt, I will agree. Some of them are to the point. If you're talking about someone else's behaviour, then that is to the point. And I'm not going to make excuses for it. If someone tells me that I'm behaving, there is nothing they talked about with me the other day that specifically talked about my behaviour, apart from an email, which I still view as instructive, that the person... Now, if a person reads something or identifies a behaviour as being offensive, then I suggest that person comes and has a direct conversation with me about it. I'm more than happy to do that. Most of the time, if I've offended somebody, well, not most of the time, all the time, if someone comes to me and says, I'm offended by what you said, I will apologise, providing you can tell me what it is in what I said that made you, that offended you. If I offer you, for example, I say to you, look, it's really important for you to understand, which I did in one of these emails, it's really important for you to understand that this particular client feels threatened by you. That is a reality and that is a fact. Find a way to deal with it and make sure that you're behaving more appropriately in front of the client. It's not rocket science. I'm the messenger. Don't friggin' shoot me just because I'm the messenger. I'm telling you the way the client is. It's bad behaviour by you, needs to change so that you can develop a better relationship with the client. That is just the way that it is. You know, and if people misinterpret stuff and for some bizarre reason think that you're being offensive when you're not, then let's work it out. You know, and there are times, I admit, that we will say things that other people will find offensive. You know, and we say it, we don't mean to, but we just say things out of the blue, and you know, in a moment. And I know I've done that. You know, I know I've sent off an email and I haven't really thought about it, and I thought, Jesus, you know, I shouldn't have done that. You know, we do. And if you do that and it hurts somebody, then I'm sorry. I really am. And I won't do that again. But, you know, it's okay. Look, I'll say that. They won't. I won't hear that back from them. They won't be telling me, yeah, Tony, we understand what you're saying. We understand that, you know, there are times when, you know, we don't act all that well either. You know, I've never heard anyone from a department or any other organisation admit that they themselves act badly. You know? And that they, you know, I know of somebody within the department who is terrible, a shocker. And that person lost the job. And I know they lost their job because someone at some point picked up that their behaviour was bad. I warned them about this person's behaviour 10 years ago. So I wonder how many people did this person damage during that 10 years until the department got wind of the fact that this person was not doing their job. You know, the best judge of who's good social workers is the client. The client can tell. So a client can have a range of people that they have worked with over a period of time, and they can say this one was a really good social worker, this one wasn't, this one was okay. You know, we should be able to scale and score people based on clients because they know which is the best ones, right? And they tell us. And then we go into a meeting and we see the way this person behaves and think, yes, this person is right. This person is bullying the client. They're not listening to what the client has to say, you know? And then the client becomes frustrated and angry, and then the worker says, well, you know, I can understand why we took away the kids because they're frustrated. And, well, no, actually, they're frustrated and angry right now because of you. So when is that issue sort of going to be addressed as well? Don't know. So I'm hoping that that they will. I'm just going to read through. Mishka, thanks for joining us. And I mean, there are. Look, the other thing is, you know, I can go along I can go along to an ASW meeting, which is Australian Association of Social Workers meeting, and I can have a chat to, whoever's there. I know a number of them, and talk about child protection from a social work perspective, and every one of them will say the system's stuffed. Every one of them will admit that the system is not the way that it should be. None of them, that's not true, some do, but generally, a few of them will be able to tell you how to fix it. And we're here as a child protection payer to find a way to fix it, and the foundation is to find a way on a daily basis to help parents to work with their kids so they can get them back. So, Michelle talked about her son here, and I think, look, if that stuff's fine, we need to have an avenue whereby people can talk. The department and others want to shut down any criticism that's offered about them. They just don't want to hear it because they don't want to deal with it, because they don't know how to deal with it. They don't know what to do with it. The wonderful thing about us and the work that we've done over 10 years now is that we have identified what it is that creates the problems within child protection generally, and what is it that needs to be fixed. We know this, but every one of those things that need to be fixed are not about structure, or they're not even about money. Frankly, they're just about people. That's it. We need people that know what they're doing, that know how to do it, that are effective, that are focused, that are practicing professionally. That is all that we need. It's not all that hard. Look, thanks, folks. I'm pretty sure there's plenty more that I meant to be talking about tonight, and I really do. Nearly talking for half an hour, and haven't had a chance to respond to many of the comments that you made. Yeah, thanks, Michigan. Thanks, Catherine. We keep people keep going, why do you do this stuff? I believe. Well, actually, I believe in my profession. We're the only profession, and this is so contradictory. We're the only profession that has encoded into our code of ethics social justice as a fundamental principle about everything that we do. Social justice, professional integrity, and respect of persons are the three core values of social work. So when I see people disrespected, social workers disrespecting clients, bingo, that's a social work core value. What's going on there? When I see people not acknowledging the social structures from which people come and the impact those have had on them, and the injustices that are inflicted upon those people because they're poor, disadvantaged, been abused as kids, whatever it might be, right, I get upset. Absolutely. And then when I see professional integrity, I see people disregarding those previous two and behaving in ways that are denigrating of others, and like people contacting me and denigrating me as well, I get upset. And why shouldn't I get upset, for Christ's sake? When our values, when the things we believe in, it's like parents who have their kids removed and are upset, we understand the reasons why they're upset. Because it's the meaning the children have to them. And in some of those cases, the kids, most cases, almost every case, those kids mean everything. They're the very reason that some people get up in the morning. When you have that taken away from you, you're going to feel bereaved, as if you've had an incredible loss, right? When I see people behaving and contravening those three principles in social work that I just talked about, I feel the same. I really do. That's why we keep going. That's why we don't give up. That's why as a political party we have so much to offer, because we're the only political party that focuses on social justice as a principle that we have to abide by. And we represent the lowest socio-economic grouping in this country. And we need you to be able to help us to become the best political party that we can become, so that we can find a way to fight back. Because it is your voice, and this is what really pisses me off, when they tell us that we should stop and cut down your comments to us, because what they're doing is they're trying to prevent you from having a voice. And that, from our perspective, is never, ever going to work. Ever. So we need you to continue to fight so that we can have the best possible outcomes. And I see some people saying that they need to organise a time to talk with you. That's fine. I've got some time free tomorrow morning. So if there's anybody who wishes to have a conversation with us about what it is that we're doing, just reading what Kylie's saying. There's a, yeah, Kylie, really appreciate that. I could talk for hours, and I just guess I can't, because I just bore the shit out of you, so I won't. So, but I met with a client, and for the first time during the week, and she said to me, her lawyer told her not to have any conversations with the department. Well, I thought about the person who called me during the week who berated me, who was a lawyer, and because she saw herself as a lawyer, she was somewhat better than everybody else. But I'm telling you right now that is lousy advice. We need to engage with the department. You know, you haven't seen your kids for 3 to 4 months, as it turned out in this case, because you've been lawyer told you not to go and talk to the department. We have to work with the department. This is not about avoiding them. This is about finding a pathway that we can work with people within the department. That's what all of this is about. This is about making sure you have the best outcome. You tell me why you not being able to see your kids because you haven't organised a meeting with the department for 3 months is working in your best interest for your kids. Right? The blinking lawyer probably gets paid for the little work that she probably does for you. You know? The odd thing is, we in the foundation don't get paid at all. Because that's the other issue. No one will fund us to do the work that we do, when it's vital work. So, those of you that want to call me can call me tomorrow. You can grab hold of my email, my phone number from the Facebook page or from our webpage. Join more in our conversations if you can. Regardless of what they say, I'd say tone down your conversations. You know, let's not yell and scream about the department. That is unhelpful. Have conversations with us, though, about your concerns, so that, you know, email us, send us a text, message us on Messenger, but contact us. I'm not suggesting you don't do that. I'm just saying be careful about what it is that you do, so that when we don't get into trouble. I'm encouraging you to contact us. I'm encouraging you to be sort of circumspect about what it is that you're saying in your comments, so that it doesn't appear like we wrote it or we said things that were unhelpful. So, thanks very much for being with us. I hope you've enjoyed our conversation. Thanks for participating, and we're hoping that we can continue to have more and more of these conversations as the weeks go by. And there's some people saying some really helpful stuff. Mishka, who's just absolutely wonderful. Yeah, just reading quickly through Mishka's post, fantastic. And others, please contact me tomorrow if you wish to. contact Avery as well, and Avery can talk to you about ways by which you can become involved with the Child Protection Party, and so on. There's a few things happening within the foundation which we'll be reflecting on in emails and posts later on. So, and also join and like the Riley Foundation Facebook page as well, so that you can get some really helpful information from there. So thanks everybody for being with me. Take care, and I hope this coming week is certainly a better week than mine was, and I'll catch you then.